Am I first? Okay. Welcome to Psi Beta, the National Honor Society for Psychology at Central Texas College. Uh, we are very excited about having you be with us this afternoon, and we are very active on campus. If you're interested in psychology, whether you want to major in psychology or not, you may be interested in coming along and joining us in many of the different projects that we participate in. There are three sponsors for Psi Beta, and I would like for each one of our sponsors to introduce themselves and tell you something about their background in psychology. You may find that the path ahead is clearer by listening to the paths that they have taken. The first sponsor is Dr. Arriaga. Dr. Arriaga, tell us something about yourself.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Dr. Arriaga. So I have a PhD in general psychology. My research background has been on personality traits and excessive alcohol use. But one interesting fact is that I have taken several classes at local community colleges through my educational journey. So just as something that you guys are doing now. And one day, you can start researching, and Psi Beta is going to be a great opportunity for you to begin your research journey. All right, Dr. Worth.
Okay, I'm Dr. Sherry Worth, and I've been teaching here at CTC. This is my 7th year. In terms of my educational background, like you, I attended a community college, and I got my associate's degree many years ago. I first became interested in psychology with my first high school class, but all through the years, I continued that interest. I earned my bachelor's degree in psychology. My master's degree is in counseling and student personnel. And then I earned my PhD in educational psychology. So I'm especially interested in applying principles of psychology in the classroom, such as learning more about what makes for student success, learning, motivation, a sense of community within the classroom. And so I do teach a number of different classes here at CTC too. I teach general psychology, lifespan development, learning framework, personality, and I've also taught our child psychology class. So if y'all have an interest, I'd love to have you in a class as well. But we're here today to share about Psi Beta. And so Dr. Jones is going to share a little bit about herself and start off our slide presentation.
Okay. I'm Dr. Jones, and I've been at CTC for a great many years. I started out in my local community college in San Antonio, just as many of you are starting out, and I wasn't at all interested in psychology. In fact, I thought it was a rather frivolous study myself. I wasn't impressed with my first psychology classes at all. I wanted to go to medical school. But I did come from a rather poor family, and I began to realize by the time I got to my sophomore year that even though I was winning some scholarships to go to community college, it wasn't going to be very practical for me to think of medical school. You may find yourself changing majors. I did many times. I was taking pre-med courses at the time, as you may be taking if you're interested in nursing or medicine at all. And I was interested in math and science. I even became interested in political science. By the time you get to your junior year in college, they really get serious about you selecting your major field of study. I had many friends who had children who had neurological impairments. And I began to watch what was being done with those children at that time. And that spurred an interest. And so I did my master's work in speech and language pathology. So I did undergraduate in speech and hearing therapy and master's in speech and language pathology. I started out at Hardin-Simmons University and was able to get a fellowship to Our Lady of the Lake University, which was considered at that time the Girls Harvard of the South. And was very impressed. I was hired onto the clinical staff after I graduated and onto the faculty. And had the opportunity at that time to work at Brooke Army Medical Center. in the neurology department as part of my field experience. This tweaked this combination of interest in the therapies, medicine, and psychology. I began to be able to work with soldiers who had come back with severe head wounds. And as a result, I became fascinated with the neurobiological underpinnings of the cognitive process. So when I competed at Baylor to work on my doctoral studies, this is the way I was able to go and able to hone it. And that's what's interesting, I think, about psychology, because you can have some specialty interests and it can take you to many different thought processes, many different ways to look at the world and ways to look at research. Therefore, when you come into Psi Beta and you work with us, we'll try to give you an opportunity to look at all of the different ways that you can apply psychology as a field to many professional areas and many aspects of life. In fact, this is your first golden ticket. And I don't know how to change the slide. There you go. Your first golden ticket to come to Psi Beta. Do I click it? You click it.
No, I was trying to click it, but you told me to maximize it, but it's not working.
Okay. Okay, you can go to the next one now. We can go to the slide.
Can you begin the presentation? Can you click on the where it says from beginning, Dr. Worth, please?
We need to start all over. Oh, there.
Okay, there. Okay.
Or yeah, and then just you right arrow key and move.
Oh,
There you go.
there we go. Okay. So first of all, excuse me, what type of qualifications do you have to become a member of Psi Beta? Remember, this is a nationally recognized honor society in psychology. Looks great on a resume. When you graduate, you have a special ribbon and medallion and an asterisk by your name, but it has lifelong value. In order to be a member of Psi Beta Honor Society, you have to have completed 12 hours of college credit with a 3.5 average or better. You have to have completed at least one course in psychology with a B or better, and obviously have some sort of interest in psychology. There is a dues fee, and this is $50. It's a lifetime dues, and so what you would do is you would send in an application to my email address, and this would give us permission when you responded to check grade point average, and then I would forward it on to Psi Beta National, and National will send you an invitation for membership. They use PayPal for their lifetime membership. And they would send back to our offices your official PIN, your certificate, and then we would have, and how do I go to the next slide? Then we would have some of the activities that are involved in Psi Beta. We have candlelight ceremonies to welcome you into Psi Beta in an official pinning ceremony, and then we get busy. Anticipate work if you become a part of Psi Beta, because we have projects going on constantly. We have collected things for the local Killeen-Free Clinic. We've had speakers come in from CASA, and we've had many, as a result, we've had many adult students who volunteered to work with CASA, which is very, very helpful. These are the liaisons between children who need some assistance and the court system, so they don't fall between the cracks. We have had relationships with organizations such as Key to Free down in Georgetown that works with sex trafficking. We have field trips that we take. We've visited the Bell County Juvenile Detention Center. These people are really very gracious to us in that they allow us to have insight into the behavioral program that they use to work with young people who have gone the wrong way in life, trying to put them on the right track. We we have been on a tour of Cedar, Crest, the psychiatric hospital in Belton. We've done volunteer work and worked with Peaceable Kingdom. That has children who have different disabilities. Each spring, we have a symposium based on a research project that students have selected in the fall. So Psi Beta students select a topic of study, for example, stress during test taking, bipolar disorder, uh, perhaps sleep. Many college students are very troubled with sleep. And we begin to do research on campus when we're able to get on campus. And we put together a PowerPoint presentation. And in the spring, we invite a expert in the field to speak to us. And in the Anderson Center, in that very, very large room, we have students come in, usually about 250, and you get to have an opportunity to do a professional presentation, a PowerPoint of the research, and introduce the expert speaker. There's a special privilege that Psi Beta members have because they get to eat lunch with our guest speaker, and they get to talk to these people sometimes from all over the United States, an expert in their fields, and they get to talk to them one-to-one. So we have a great many hands-on activities, many activities that will increase your experience in research, which is basically good in all fields. The picture you're viewing now is of the Bell County Juvenile Services entrance and some of the facilities that they have. This looks rather ominous, doesn't it? You would be so impressed if you went with us to, and we need to slow down on that because that's the next slide. If you would be able to talk one-to-one with the people who work with the young people in our juvenile justice system. They try to take this environment and still calm these individuals down and redirect their behavior. This is not easy to do. And we take the tour and we get some insight into the procedures they use. Now, the next slide has to do with the Cedar Crest Psychiatric Center. This is a big, beautiful center, and I think the next slide will show an overview of it. They work with many troubled individuals, young people, children, elderly adults across the spectrum of life, with counseling, with education, and it is a very open yet safe environment. And if you'll see the view from the top, you can see this is a large facility just outside of Belton. Most people don't even realize it's there, but this is a very helpful place for people of all ages to go. And what else is it? We have also visited Peaceable Kingdom. Peaceable Kingdom is in Youngsport, not very far from Killeen. And it's a ranch that was donated for children who have disabilities. They can have physical handicaps, they can have neurological impairments that interfere with their ability to learn, they can have psychological impairments. But in Peaceable Kingdom, there are opportunities to be outdoors, to swim, to do crafts and artwork, to ride horses, to work with animals. Many of these things that some of these children and young people have never really had an opportunity to experience. It is a beautiful place to go, and they're always in need of volunteers. This at the Anderson Center is where it all comes together when we present our symposium, usually in April of each year. And we begin to, and we present the results of our research. Okay. And now we're going to have Dr. Arriaga talk to us about a special area in psychology.
All right. So thanks, Joyce or Dr. Jones. So today I just want to present just a short demonstration of the brain, just to give you a better idea of its functions. So you can see the brain here in this 3D image. And the brain really is the command center, right, of the entire human body. And it really is just an incredible organ. It controls everything from our beating heart, emotions, memory, and of course, so much more. So the nervous system and the brain, they use specialized cells that we call neurons in order to communicate information throughout the body. And the brain itself has around 86 billion neurons, which is incredible. So I want to just talk a little bit about just a few areas of the brain and just briefly explain their functions. So the brain is split into two hemispheres, as you can see here. So we have the right and the left hemisphere. So the left hemisphere is responsible for more of the analytical and mathematical thought processes. And the right hemisphere is going to be responsible for more of our creative and artistic thought processes. Now, if we can see, we have a gap in between both the left and the right hemispheres. And this area is called the corpus callosum. Now, the corpus callosum is a thick band of neural fibers, and this really allows both hemispheres to communicate with each other. So if we have information being processed on one side of the brain, that information is going to be shared with the other side of the brain. And this happens just seamlessly in our daily lives. So if we look at each hemisphere, we have 4 lobes in each hemisphere, and we're going to talk just briefly about those lobes. First, we're going to talk about the frontal lobe, which is located just there on the front of the brain. So it is responsible for reasoning, motor control, emotion, and language production. Now, the frontal lobe contains the prefrontal cortex where personality traits are housed. And personality traits are those characteristics that we have that make us unique from one person to the next. Now, we'll take a look at the Burrito Lobe, which is going to be located just behind the frontal lobe, as you can see here. Now, the parietal lobe is responsible for processing our body's sensory information, and it contains the somatosensory cortex, which is actually really essential for processing sensory information across the body, such as touch, temperature, and pain. Now, we will talk about the temporal lobe, which is located here just on the sides of the brain. The temporal lobe is associated with hearing, memory, emotion, and language comprehension, specifically the Wernicke's area of the brain. Now, in the very back of the brain, we have what's called the occipital lobe, which contains the primary visual cortex. So its job is to interpret that incoming visual information. So our eyes are really just the data collectors, right, of all the sensory information that we experience in our environment. But it's the brain's responsibility to generate an actual perception of what we're seeing based on our prior knowledge and experiences. So that is my very brief presentation of the brain. But I hope you have a better understanding of the brain and its functions. And, you know, in Psi Beta, we have this really great and amazing opportunity to research and learn more about these great topics in psychology. So I really hope to see you at our next meeting and at all of our upcoming meetings.
Can you close it, Kara?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not showing the PowerPoint.
Hmm. while that is coming up, why don't we mention the fact that if you have not gotten to the point in your college career that you have 12 hours of college credit, if you're still working on that grade point average and you don't have quite 3.25 yet, then you're still welcome to take part in many of our activities. This is what we call an internship. So you would simply ask for an opportunity to make out an application, but up at the top you would put intern, please. And therefore we would know you're still working on the qualifications, but you want to go along for the educational opportunity. And we welcome you to take part in our research, to take part in building the symposium, to take part in some of the field trips as you work to your professional qualifications as a member of Psi Beta.
Okay, hopefully, are y'all able to see now this fourth ticket?
No.
Okay, is it showing up yet?
No, ma'am.
No.
While Sherry's working on that, Dr. Jones, will you kind of, there we go, now we got it. We'll talk about it in a minute, but here's the show.
Okay, sorry about these technological
He just
issues
needed me to
with
put the pressure on you and it came through.
Okay. Okay, so for the fourth ticket, we're going to take knowledge of Psi Beta. Dr. Jones gave an orientation somewhat talking about Psi Beta as an organization. And so some of these things she may have talked about, and some of the things maybe just a learning experience for you. The first question, though, is what is Psi Beta? And so there's different options here. So is it a university National Honor Society in psychology? Is it a community college National Honor Society in psychology? A National Honor Society in any social science, or none of the above? What do you think? What is the correct answer? Well, it's a community college National Honor Society in psychology. The next question, true or false? Psi Beta was founded for the purpose of stimulating, encouraging, and recognizing outstanding scholarship and interest in psychology. Do you think that's true or false? It's actually true. In terms of Psi Beta's mission, is it to encourage professional development, encourage psychological literacy? Is it for the promotion and recognition of excellence, scholarship, leadership, research, and community service? Or is it all of the above? The answer is all of the above. Question 4, what is not a benefit of Psi Beta membership? Is it recognition, including wearing honor regalia accessories at graduation? Is it a lifetime reference, award eligibility, or lack of opportunity? So again, what is not a benefit of Psi Beta membership? The answer is D, lack of opportunity, because as a member of Psi Beta, you're going to have lots of opportunities. You may learn leadership skills, gain research skills and experience, and meet a number of psychology professionals. Okay, in question 5, which is a membership requirement for Psi Beta? Do you have to have completed a psychology course with a certain grade level? Do you have to have completed 12 units of college courses with a cumulative college GPA of 3.25 or higher? Have an interest in psychology? Or could it be D, all of the above? And the answer is all of the above. The last question is question 6. How much does it cost to join Psi Beta? Is it $100, $75, $50, or $25? The answer is $50. Now, this is a one-time lifetime fee. And also, if you're interested in Psi Beta here at CTC, you may attend meetings, whether they're virtual or in person, and events for free as an intern. When you do decide, though, that you may want to join Psi Beta, then you would have to pay that $50 lifetime fee. And also associated with becoming a member is a completion of an application. And I think Dr. Jones explained some of that at the beginning when she was telling you a little bit about Psi Beta. So, how did you do in all those tickets? You only have one more ticket left to explore in terms of learning more about Psi Beta. Okay, I'm going to let Dr. Jones share a little bit about this too, because she does keep track of the interns and membership to Psi Beta. So Dr. Jones, do you want to go ahead and share about your email address and more information?
Certainly. You can see on the screen my email address. This email arrives at my school email, and you simply request an application for Psi Beta. Then I will copy it off, send it to you. You can send it back or fill in the information. This simply gives us permission for our secretary to double check your grade point average to see that yes, you are eligible. Then I will submit it to Psi Beta National, and you will hear directly from Psi Beta National through your email. You will be given a period of time, usually about 4 weeks, in order to submit the $50 lifetime payment to PayPal. And so there will be a window of opportunity there because we set an induction schedule. Under normal circumstances, we would set an induction date for a candlelight ceremony. We may have to do that virtually this spring, the way things are going. But you will have an induction. You will receive your PIN and your certificate for Psi Beta, and we will put you to work. To not only increase your interest in psychology, but also give you some experience in research in the field. Our first meeting will be the second Thursday of February. Not sure what date that is. I'll have to look that up. But the second Thursday of February at noon, we will meet to have our first meeting. I was about to pull that up, but it didn't work very well. Okay, so the second Thursday would be the 11th of February. We will have a Zoom meeting at that time. So that'll be, I think, on the CTC website, and you can also find it through one of the sponsors.
So we're really happy that all of y'all attended today, and we want to wish you the best on your spring semester, but also we hope to see you again. If you do have an interest in Psi Beta and joining us, either as an intern and checking it out, or if you're interested in becoming a full-fledged member. Again, we would love to have you as part of Psi Beta and also have you in psychology classes, because all three of us, are in the psychology area and teaching those types of classes in the social and behavioral sciences department. And also Dr. Arriaga also teaches sociology classes. So give her a plug about that too. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to email Dr. Jones and let her know. So thanks again for joining us, and hope to see you soon.
Hey, before you guys go, can you touch briefly on your current project on sports psychology and anxiety? That's something near and dear to me, and that might just give participants an idea of what kind of things that you actually do and get students involved in.
Oh, that's a good idea. Now, this was one of our previous research projects. were actually our students were initially interested in stress and final exams. Can you imagine college students being interested in that? And then we began to think, well, is this stress that we experience during final exams similar to the stress that athletes feel when they're on the line, ready to compete, or right before a football game? Or how do we look at this analogy? Now, this took some really thoughtful processing among the members, because we could see how it would be easy for us to measure stress, perhaps during final exams. That's accessible to us. But how do we measure stress in the athletic situation? And one of our members came up with the idea, well, what about the military when they take their PT tests? Just before they take their PT test, because that can make a difference in success or failure. That can make a difference in promotion and failure to be promoted. Can we run over to Fort Hood and test all these people before they take their PT test? Well, that was going to be a problem, but we found the ROTC was available to us. And the ROTC at Texas A&M was very happy to help us out. And the students went online, our Psi Betas went online, and they found a test that had been used successfully by researchers that measured stress level. So during final exams, we administered the test before final exams or after final exams. I'm trying to recall which. And then we had volunteers go over who were part of ROTC. And just before they took their PT test, to have them take the stress test. And then we began to compare our results and put together a PowerPoint that showed our statistics and invited someone to speak who was interested in sports and who could speak on that level from a professional viewpoint. And this was a symposium for that year. We have had some very interesting symposiums. For example, the year that students became interested in sleep. Now, college students can be very interested in sleep. And they put together a survey trying to determine how much sleep do college students at CTC actually get? What affects your sleep? What are your sleep problems? And I don't know if you're aware of this, but at Scott and White in Temple, they have a sleep clinic. We asked the director of the sleep clinic and the research section to come and speak to our symposium that year. And as it turned out, he was a very, very informative person, but he also interacted so well with the students that when we sat down to have a meal with him, as Psi Beta members have the privilege of doing, they were able to pick his brain and find out all kinds of research information. So these are the types of subjects that we study in our symposium. We've studied forensic psychology. We've studied mood disorders, bipolar disorders. We have had a symposium with representatives talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, representatives from counseling, from Fort Hood, from different types of post-traumatic stress disorder. In fact, the media has been really interested in some of our symposiums. So I encourage you to get into a hands-on experience of learning through this professional organization, because it can make a difference in how you go into upper level classes, and what you have experienced hands-on can help you in your master's level, and I expect some of you are going to have doctoral degrees.
Does
Great,
anyone
thank you
else
so
have a
much for that.
question?
What?
Does anyone else have a question? Okay.